The Hidden School of the Soul, the secret teachings of Jesus never revealed. In 1945, near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, a farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Saman dug up a sealed red clay pot while looking for fertilizer. He didn't care about local stories of spirits, and he broke the pot open, hoping to find treasure. But instead, he found 13 leather-bound books filled with old paper pages, writings that had been lost for over 1,600 years. These were the Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of early Christian writings, including what are called the Gnostic Gospels. The Gnostic texts showed a different idea of Jesus and his teachings, very different from what became the main Christian beliefs. Muhammad Ali didn't know how valuable they were, and he took the books home, where some pages were burned to start fires. The rest got caught up in fights, secret deals, and academic mysteries before smart people finally put the collection back together. When experts read these texts, they realized early Christianity was not at all united. It was a mix of different ideas and spiritual ways. The Nag Hammadi Library showed that the Christianity we know today was just one version among many, the one that ended up winning. The others, like those found in that jar, were put down, their followers were treated badly, and their writings were almost completely wiped out. Finding the Nag Hammadi texts wasn't just about old things, it was about finding a lost, different voice from when Christianity first started. It made us rethink what we thought we knew about how a faith began. What did Muhammad Ali find? The Nag Hammadi Library has 52 texts, carefully copied into Coptic, probably saved by monks who believed in Gnostic ideas. The collection includes secret Gospels, poems, and spiritual writings, like the Gospel of Thomas, Philip, Truth, and Mary Magdalene. These texts were hidden around 367 AD, when Bishop Athanasius said only his chosen 27 books, the New Testament, were holy and ordered all others to be destroyed. To save their important writings, the monks sealed them in a jar and buried them at the bottom of the cliffs. In early Christianity, there was no single Bible. Many Gospels were passed around, each with its own idea of Jesus. The main church wanted to make beliefs the same and get more power, so they picked texts that supported their authority. The Gnostic Gospels were said to be wrong, not just for being different, but for encouraging people to explore their own spiritual path instead of following church rules. They taught that being saved was about a personal awakening inside, not a reward for obeying the church. For a growing church leadership, this message was dangerous. Hiding the Nag Hammadi Library was a desperate act to save a spiritual history from being erased. These texts survived as proof of how many different ideas and suppressed creativity there were in early Christian thought. Finding them again invites us to look at a forgotten spiritual world. The Nag Hammadi texts show a clear difference between Gnostic and main Christian beliefs. Mainstream Christianity sees the world as God's good creation, ruined by sin, with salvation coming through faith in Jesus and the church. Gnostics, however, saw the physical world as flawed, a prison for the spirit made by a lesser being. For them, the problem wasn't sin, but not knowing, forgetting where we truly came from. Being saved was waking up to the divine spark inside, not making up for sin. Jesus, in the mainstream view, is the special Son of God who saves people through his sacrifice. For Gnostics, Jesus is a spiritual guide, someone who reveals secret knowledge, gnosis, who wakes us up to who we really are. The mainstream path focuses on faith, community, and church authority. The Gnostic path is personal, based on experience, and focused on directly knowing the divine. Gnostic Gospels are like spiritual maps, not history books. They invite people to find truth within themselves, not just accept what they are told. These two paths shaped the early Christian world, and their tension is still felt today. The Nag Hammadi texts make us rethink what it means to follow Jesus. Is faith about believing or about waking up? Gnostic texts offer a completely new idea of how the world was made. Instead of one good God, they describe a far-off perfect source from which divine beings, or aeons, come out. One aeon, Sophia, which means wisdom, creates a flawed child, the demiurge, who makes the physical world. The demiurge, not knowing about the higher realms, thinks he is the only God and creates a world full of suffering and flaws. People, however, carry a spark of the divine, put there by Sophia. We are divine spirits trapped in a flawed world, like exiles wanting to go home. The problem isn't sin, but not knowing where we came from. The world is a distraction made to keep us asleep. The goal is to wake up, see the divine spark, and free it through gnosis, knowing yourself. Freedom is not given by outside power, but found through an inner awakening. This story changes the human problem. We are not fallen sinners, but forgetful exiles. In Gnostic ideas about the universe, Jesus' role changes. He is not a sacrifice for sin, but a messenger of enlightenment, a guide from the world of light. His job is to wake us up from spiritual forgetting, reminding us of the divine spark inside. Gnosis is not about memorizing rules, but about experiencing who you truly are. Jesus' teachings are riddles and stories, meant to make you think, not just obey. In Gnostic texts, the resurrected Jesus shares secret wisdom, helping followers change inside. The crucifixion is less about physical pain and more a symbol of spiritual awakening. Resurrection means it's possible to go beyond the physical world through gnosis. Jesus is the example for this path, showing that anyone can wake up the divine light within. The Gnostic Jesus invites us to seek enlightenment, not just belief. The Gospel of Thomas, found at Nag Hammadi, is a collection of 114 secret sayings of Jesus, not a story, but a guide to finding things out about yourself. It starts by saying, "Whoever understands these sayings will not die." The main message: God's kingdom is not somewhere else, but inside and all around us. Jesus says, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. This challenges any idea that religious leaders control who can reach the divine. The light is within every person, waiting to be seen and brought out. Being saved is about finding yourself. If you bring out what is within you, what you bring out will save you. The job of waking up is up to each person, not an outside savior. The Gospel of Thomas asks us to be truly aware of ourselves and be brave. It's not about waiting for heaven, but realizing the divine right here, right now. The teachings are invitations to look inside, find the light, and let it shine. This is the main idea of what Jesus taught in Thomas' salvation through knowing yourself. The kingdom is a state of mind, not a far-off promise. The Nag Hammadi library brought back the voice of Mary Magdalene, a very important person in Gnostic texts. In the Gospel of Mary, she is not just someone who saw things happen, but a visionary and the follower who best understood Jesus' secret teachings. After Jesus came back to life, the followers ask Mary for guidance. She shares the wisdom she got from Christ. Her teachings focus on the soul's journey past inner problems, like wanting things, not knowing, and anger, not outside evil spirits. The soul gets past these forces through knowledge and inner calm, not fighting. Mary's map of consciousness is a guide to getting past inner trouble and not knowing. Her authority is questioned by male followers, showing the early church's struggles over women's roles. Gnostic groups often let women teach and lead. The Gospel of Mary shows her as a master of the inner path, a sign of a more welcoming spiritual tradition. Her story invites us to honor the wisdom and leadership of women in spiritual life. The main message of the Nag Hammadi texts is simple: know yourself. Gnosis is not just knowing things in your head, but a deep change where you truly understand yourself. The journey starts with feeling that something is wrong not with you, but with how you see reality. This feeling of being an exile is the divine spark waking up. The path needs courage to look inside, facing fears, desires, and not knowing within. These are not enemies, but parts of ourselves to understand and go beyond. The goal is to bring out your inner light as taught in the Gospel of Thomas. True salvation is inner freedom and being real, not an outside reward. The Gnostic path is creative and gives power, honoring each person's direct connection to the divine. The lost Gospels offer not a new religion, but a new way of looking at things, one that values personal spiritual experience. They remind us the most sacred journey is the one inside. Gnosis is the light that turns being an exile into coming home. The Nag Hammadi discovery broke the idea of a single, united Christianity. It showed that spiritual questions have many answers, and the search is about really getting involved, not just finding one right belief. The Gnostic Gospels show a Jesus who turns the question back on us. Who are you? In Thomas, Jesus' secret words to the quiet follower suggest that true knowledge is too personal for strict rules. The biggest question is not who Jesus was, but who we are. Are we just physical beings or divine sparks that can wake up? The answer isn't in any book, it's within. What we learned from Nag Hammadi is permission to explore, to trust our own experience, and to look for our own inner light. What if God's kingdom really is inside you? What would you bring out if you believed it?